Turn our volume up, and greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to a long overdue return to our Misadventures series. We are retitling it Misadventures Continued, because we're going to be doing a different character, so we won't go back to Misadventures in the Southern Colony specifically. We're going to do Misadventures Continued, and before we bounce into that, let's go ahead and get our announcements out of the way. First off, our this particular game is going to be family friendly, or at least as family friendly as I think a game can be, and be interesting and fun and stuff like that. So Saturday morning cartoon, probably 90s or 80s Saturday morning cartoon. So at least that's what it's been in the past. Should stay about that. As far as other announcements, we have a giveaway going on. This will go up before the giveaway is done. Yeah. So at the end of April, we're going to give away, because we want to have people that have plenty of time to get into the drawing. We're going to give away to our patrons and subscribe stars it is a splat book for 5th edition, and it's a Rick and Morty splat book. So that's what we're going to be giving away, and you have to be either subscribe to us on Subscribestar or a patron on Patreon. So either one of those will be acceptable entries. As far as other announcements, I don't really think we have any at the moment. So let's go ahead and bounce right in. You can see already that we've got up a form fillable sheet for our character that we're going to be building in this first session. It is session 0 for Adonijah, so we'll put his name in there. Adonijah. Say hi to the people.
What?
Say hi to the people.
Hi.
I told you you're going to have to talk louder.
Hi.
Okay. And we're going to be starting at level 1. So we'll put that there. And we're going to put in the name this may change before the actual game starts, but at the moment he's thinking that he wants it named Kaisar, Caesar, however you want to say that. And as far as his archetype, he is a shape changer, or we'll put shapeshifter, because that is more like what he is. That's his actual race and everything that he's going for. So that's what we're going to see him as. He is Caesar the shapeshifter, and I believe you said he has we're gonna try to follow if you have the book, we're going to the Open Legend source book. Oh, I didn't say that. This is going to be an Open Legend game, so for those interested in what we're playing, that's what the little introduction thing was, and why we had Open Legend in the corner at the onset and stuff like that. This is an Open Legend game. That's why he's getting to play pretty much whatever he wants, which was a shapeshifter. And we're going to be taking it kind of as the book presents it. The first thing that the book presents or suggests doing is describing your character, because that actually does make a big difference in this game. What your character is going to not just look like, but kind of try to accomplish and do. So I believe you said gray skin?
No, I said more whitish skin.
Kind of a milky white? Milky white skin. Large eyes. No. Well, that's what you drew.
I didn't draw large eyes.
You drew big black eyes on him.
No, I didn't. I didn't draw black eyes. It's just the hair was getting
You have to speak up or people won't hear you. So, whatever. We won't do the physical description portion. We'll describe what he does. Changes, he's a shape shifter race uses racial abilities like the shapeshifting for in and out of combat. And that's what we're really theming this particular character around. So Caesar is going to go right there. Like we said, we're starting at level 1. And the next thing we need to do, after we kind of describe the character a bit, and he does have a backstory kind of done up. He even wrote a little story for it. And what we'll do is we'll polish that up, and we might even record that and release it for you guys. Who knows? But the next thing to do is to pick attributes. And this is the most complicated portion, but it's not complicated really much at all. There's several ways you can go about it. You can, all of them are on the, if you have the form fillable sheet or you have a character sheet right there with you and you're kind of following along on what to do, they're all on the left side of the paper, and you start with physical that has agility, fortitude, and might. Deception, which social, which has deception, presence, and persuasion. You have mental, which has learning, logic, perception, and will. And then you also have your supernatural, and this is where any kind of special stuff would go, like special abilities would go here. So you have alteration, creation, energy, entropy, influence, movement, prescience, and protection. So we will invest in some of those for what he's looking at, but first things first, we need to assign some some attributes to where they need to go. Now, I did do a little bit of pre-recording research so that we could make sure we could get the right attributes for the right stats and things like that, for the right feats and things like that. So we will be doing a bit of that, and we'll explain some of these choices. So you start with, you can either pick to go with a quick attribute build, or you can start with 40 points. We're going to probably let you start with 40 points, because that's what it would come out with. So you have a total points of 40, and you haven't spent 40. I don't know why it said that. But, that's weird. Maybe that was fixed in another version of this one, because there is another version there. I wanted to use this sheet for the background and stuff, for the background and equipment notes, but I guess what we'll do is we'll just keep that number in our head. So we'll, if we have to, we'll switch over to a different thing, but for right now, we're going to keep in our head the idea, and I'll use a piece of paper, that we have 40 points to spend, and we have a little bit to do with them. Now, those 40 points, you can spend them for the cost right here to show how much that attribute is. So the one you want to make sure you can have is you want to make sure you can get mimic and shapeshift. Those are the ones that you want to have for sure, right?
Yes.
Okay, so those are feats, by the way. Mimic is a feat, and shapeshift is a boon. And we're going to get boon focus and stuff like that so that he can get really good at being a shapeshifter, and even shapeshift mid-combat and stuff like that. He'll be really cool. But first, we have to get shapeshift and mimic. So to get those two further down the line, in the feats when we get them, he's going to have an alteration attribute of 4 and a deception attribute of 3. So if we want to have those attributes, we go alteration. If we get at least a 4, that's going to be a 10. That's going to count for 10 of your points. So we do want that, right? That for that mimic and shapeshift.
I guess.
If you want to mimic and shapeshift, then yeah, you need it. So we'll put a 4 right there, and that cost 10. And we'll put the dice in there in a minute. Well, we can do it now. They're right there on the next page. So a score of 4 is going to give you what dice?
D10.
1d10. So when you roll, you will roll a d20 plus roll a d10. So that'll let you get an extra bonus to your roll. So 1d10. Next, we want to have deception at 3 at least. And that's going to cost 6 points. Because you got to be able to fool people. So the cost is 6. The score would be 3. And that means the dice is what?
1d8.
1d8. Okie dokie. So, that's really the most that you have to get your build going. So you can shapeshift right now, and you've only used 16 points of your 40 points. Now you get to think about, well, what else do I want to do with this character?
I have 34 points left.
You have 24 points left. No. You got points left. Go ahead and try to figure out what else you're wanting for him to do. Like, we know that he is a shapeshifter race and uses his racial abilities and stuff. So let's think about what are you wanting to do if he gets in trouble, like and needs a weapon? What do you want to do about that?
Turn into dirt.
So you're not going to be much about fighting, you're going to be about escaping type things? Is that it?
I mean, if I have no weapons.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What type of weapons do you think he's going to use? Or is he going to use weapons? Is he going to do something different, like other abilities down here? Because that'll determine what type of physical ability you would go with.
I think the weapons that he most likely use would be short swords and sickles, maybe.
Okay, so things that have
that are light
and dexterous. So that would be an agility score. So the next thing we need to do is figure out how much do we want to give your agility.
3.
You want to put 3 in your agility?
Yes.
Alright, that's going to cost another 6. So, agility score of 3, cost 6, and has a d8 like we saw before. 1d8. So he's going to be kind of spry, nimble, and he's going to bounce and move around to avoid damage, and then throw his stuff, or use his sickle, or make a swift cut with his short sword or other sword.
And throwing daggers and short bows.
So bows and daggers and stuff like that. Okie dokie, that fits well into the agility physical stat. And you kind of have a social stat already. Let's see, what type of mental stat would he be looking at? Would he be book smart? Would he be logical? He doesn't seem like he'd be very logical or book smart. He might be, what do you think? Is he more about spotting stuff? Or does he have mental fortitude with will?
1.
You want 1 in which ones?
Both.
Both learning and logic?
Yeah.
So he's book smart? Like he's read a lot of books and is smart that way? Or is he more...
he can read books.
Right.
And be able to know the words.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have to put any score in here to do that. So, you don't have to use your points there unless you want to.
I want him to be able to read.
He can read. He doesn't have to put points to read. So, you got some points left. Got about 18 points left. Do you want to put something into the mental stats? Will is a really good one, and perception is a really good one, because will increases 2 of your defenses.
2.
Like your toughness and your resolve.
2 in will.
2 in will.
Be 3 points.
Okay.
3 points.
So 2 in will.
1d8. 3.
No, 2 points. The attribute scores 2. It costs 3. So it's how much?
1d8?
No.
1d6.
1d6. 1d6. And perception is how well you spot stuff. So if he's like a rogue, is that what you're going for?
No.
Like sneaky?
No.
So he's not sneaky.
I mean, he can be sneaky.
Right, he can be sneaky. Is he going to surprise attack people or no?
Can.
Right, he can. If he's going to, then if he's going to make a habit of it, then perception is good because then he can spot things from far away.
I mean, I want him to be able to spot things, but I don't want him to always... I don't want him to make a habit of sneak attacking.
Okay, it also helps you shoot better, see things farther off with your bow and stuff like that. So, if you're gonna use a bow a lot, then having a good perception is a good idea.
I mean, I don't want him to use a bow a lot.
Okay, so he's more...
We'll put 1 point into it.
1? That's fair. So 1 is going to cost 1 point. And it's going to be what?
1d4.
1d4. Oops. 1d4. Okie dokie. So we've got those. Let me mark those down. That's a total of another 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So, you've got a few more points left.
How many points?
You've used 26 of them. So 40 minus 26. Remember to carry over. Or borrow, not carry over.
Minus it?
No. It would be if you have 26 gone and you take if you take away 26 from 40, the 6 has to have a borrow from the 3, so you borrow that. But you borrow from the 4.
14 points?
14 points, yes. So, you've got 14 points left. Where do you want to put them?
Did you get down to supernatural?
Mm-hmm. Supernatural. The big deal was alteration. Now you can always put more in there. You just needed. What energy does is let you control energy and stuff like that. Whether that's fire or water or ice or stuff like that. So he does that type of stuff?
He can.
Okay.
1d4.
Alright. So that's going to be 1. That means you got 13 left.
I want to put 1 into influence.
Influence is like mind control.
Yeah, I want to put 1 into that.
Okay.
One,
Now, if you
D4.
just keep putting 1, you're not going to have it very strong in other places. So,
What does movement again do?
movement is you use supernatural abilities to move faster or to stop others from moving and stuff like that.
I want to put 2 into movement.
Okay. And that costs 3.
1d6.
Alright. So you have these. Do you want to put any more up here? Into physical, social, or mental?
I said I wanted to put 1 into learning and 1 into logic.
Okay.
1, 1d4. 1. That's 1, 2. That's 1d4.
Okay. Okay. So we got stuff going on in there. Let me see. That's 1, 2. And I didn't mark down movement and influence, I don't think. So. Perception. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I need to mark.
What's creation do?
1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you've got 6 left.
Could you go, please?
Okay. So we got agility.
Can I have 1 into fortitude?
Okay. Fortitude's pretty good because it increases your hit points too. So
I want 2 into fortitude.
okay. 2
3.
is going to be costing 3
One-
and give you
1d6, I think.
1d6. Okay. So that's
I want to put 1 into might.
1, 2, 3. And you got 3 left.
1 into might, please.
Okay. 1, 1d4.
Could you go down,
Okay.
please?
2 more.
Let's see here.
Presence,
Could you go down, please?
persuasion, learning, logic.
What's persuasion?
Persuasion is how well you talk with people. How well you're able to persuade them one way or the other.
1.
Okay, you'll have 2 left after this.
Down, please. Protection, please. 1 in protection, please.
You're just going to put 1 in protection?
If I put 2 in protection, I won't have 1 left.
You're right. You only have 1 left. You've only got 2 left. So it's
2 would cost, and 2 would cost 3. So I had to put 1 into something because 2 would cost 3 points.
I see what you're saying. Yes. So you can only put 2 1s somewhere. So you can put a 1 in protection. Okay.
What does that say?
What?
Do you want to put protection?
Prescience.
What's that for?
Prescience is like seeing things before they happen, getting intuition and stuff like that.
I want to put them into that. And
Okay.
that will probably end this part.
Speak clearly or they won't hear you. Okay. So, that is all of your
40 points.
40 points. I'll make sure that we've counted all that up correctly in a little bit. But that's all your 40 points. So, the next thing to do is calculate your defenses, your hit points, and your speed. So,
Let's go.
Move this real quick. This paper. And
I have agility. I have 3 and 2 agility.
yes, you do. So you look at your score and you have a 3 in agility, a 1 in might. You don't have any armor yet, and you don't have any other effects going that would affect your guard. And this is where I differ for those watching. Yeah, but you don't have protection. Doesn't automatically go there. So I differ a little bit from the guide. I don't calculate guard until after we've bought armor. So that we'll wait on that one, but we can still do toughness right away. I've got 2 fortitude and 2 will, and nothing else affecting it. So that's going to give us your toughness is 10 plus fortitude plus will, so 10 plus 2 plus 2. No, 10 plus 2 plus 2 is going to
14.
be 14. Now, next is resolve. Your presence, it doesn't have any bonus. Your will does. So your resolve is going to be 10 plus 2.
12.
Oop. 12. Alright. So, we'll do guard in a minute. The next thing suggested, the next step suggested, is getting your feats. Now you get a 6 feat points at the start of your game. When you make a level 1 character, you get 6 feat points.
What are feats for?
Feats let you do things and evoke certain boons or banes. You know, change. Like shapeshifting is a boon. Being blinded is a bane. Things like that. So, we're going to turn over there to the boons and banes, because we already know you want, we already know one feat that you want, which is Mimic. So we're going to turn over to the feats. And I'm going to look real quick at the boons and the shapeshift boons real quick, just to make sure that I'm remembering everything correctly. So the shapeshift boon, yeah, it has power levels of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the more you invest into it, the better it is. And you're going to be using alteration to shapeshift. So you can get up to shapeshift level 4. But it costs, you have to have shapeshift, you have to have alteration 4 to get to shapeshift, and that's going to let you shapeshift into a creature between 1/4 and 1 quadruple the target's original size.
What's a quadruple?
Quadruple, quad meaning 4, so 4 times as big, or 4 times as, or 1/4 your size. So
So I could turn into a bear?
Oh yeah, that's well within. You're a medium creature. We need to actually put that. That does affect some things in the game. So medium. Let me go back.
I want him to be around 7 feet, 7 foot, 6 foot.
So he's pretty tall. So he's a medium creature. Because sometimes that does affect things.
So he
but
could
not for you.
basically be a...
Oh, we didn't do your hit points and speed. Let's go back and do that. You start with a basic 30 feet of speed, like normal. And before we continue, we want to make sure we're getting it right. I want to go back to the hit points. So,
how many hit points do I have?
Hit points are calculated. You add your will, your fortitude. You add your fortitude, your presence, and your will all together. So fortitude, Fortitude is 2. Presence is 0. And then your will is 2. So 4 times 2.
It's 8.
8. Oh. Plus 10. So your
18.
max. You're 18. Your max hit points right now is 18. So there we are. And we did your speed. Now we can go back to the boons and the feats and stuff. So you don't have to do anything to get a boon or bane. You just have to have the scores necessary to do it, which you do. You have alteration high enough that you can shapeshift into. You can do power level 2, 3, or 4. So.
Not 4.
Well, you can do any of them. You can do 2, 3, or 4.
So I could turn into a dragon? Small dragon?
If it was small, it'd have to be young, and it wouldn't be as necessarily as strong. You couldn't fly until level. You have to power up your alteration to 5th level to be able to fly.
So could I be a bird?
You could change into a bird, but you couldn't fly until after you get to power level 5.
Can't I turn into a small bird? Like a hummingbird?
Not until 5th. Not until power level 5.
Why do you have to have power level 5 just to fly as a small little bird?
Well, you have to do that because you have your stuff together. You need to have the ability and the experience and the strength to be able to change your form well enough to be able to accommodate those things. Now, we can go back to the attributes because you spread out your attributes quite a bit. We can go back to the attributes and redeem take some of these points back and put it into alteration if you want to get up to 5th. But you can't have it any higher than 5 at 1st level.
Wait, what does this do again?
Prescience? That's like knowing something's going to happen before it happens. See, you spread out a lot of 1s, but you didn't give yourself any 5s. So you could take back some of those points. If you take back 5 of these points, you can put your alteration up to 5. So if you just focused on alteration, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then took 1 out of these, or that, you could do it. So we got protection, prescience, influence, energy. You even take movement or however you want to do that, because that's cost 3 points.
Down, please.
Okay.
What is movement again?
Movement helps you move faster. You can give yourself boons to make yourself faster and do things.
I'll take points. I'll take points from that.
Okay, so you don't want to have anything in movement. That gives you 3 points back. You still need 2 more.
Up, please.
You didn't put a lot down in here. The most you put was here in learning and logic and perception. These were a bunch of 1s.
Do I have anything in learning? In logic?
You have logic and learning. You have 1 in each.
Okay, but do I have anything over here that would be affected if I take points from that room?
You're going to have to speak louder. And if you take points away from learning and logic, it's not going to affect any of the stats that you have over here.
What about the stats down there?
This action stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you decide on. Like, you're going to put shapeshift here, and you're going to show what attribute you do versus how difficult it is, and then what dice you're going to roll, and any special stuff that happens. So this is stuff that you decide, I'm going to do this action a lot, so I'm going to write it here so I can have it as a quick reference.
Okay, so I'll take points from logic.
Okay.
Learning.
From both?
Mm-hmm.
So logic and learning go back to what their normal is, which is starting is a 0. Everything starts at 0. And then now you have enough to go from a score of 4 to a score of 5. And that means your dice increases as well to
2d6.
2d6.
Like 2d6?
That's right. So instead of rolling, when you roll, you're going to roll a d20 and 2d6 to make sure that you hit your mark of how hard it is to change, because that'll depend on what type of creature you're trying to change into, how hard it is. Well, you're going to make it a lot easier on yourself to hit those harder numbers, because you can get you can get a high number with that amount of a score. So that's not bad. That will let you be able to invoke the shapeshift power level 5, which means you could change into a form and be able to fly with that form.
So I could even fly with a bear with wings.
I don't know if you would have to.
I could put wings on a bear.
And
I could fly.
You would be a very, very hard roll to mush together two different types of creatures. Because remember, you gotta be able to think about the creatures and how they work. That's part of
it's a bear
changing
that flies, and it's a bear.
But your shapeshift will be a lot better. But that also makes it easier for you when you're doing your mimicry as well. So, your mimic is the feat that we were going for. So let's turn over to the feats now that we've made sure we understood what we needed to understand about the shape-shifting ability, or the shape-shifting boon, I should say. So, right over... Where is it? Oh, it's Nickens. I'm looking over here too high. So, Mimic. It costs 2 feat points, and you have 6 right now. But this is definitely one that you want if you're going to be doing this type of thing. So, Mimic. And it costs 2. And, sorry about that, folks. If you put Mimic right here, I like to put, for those watching, I like to put the page number of where the feat is right by the name of the feat, or in the same entry. That way I can keep track and turn to it if I really need to. So that's 2 feat points. But what Mimic lets you do, if you have an alteration of 4 and a deception of 3, you've honed your shapeshifting abilities to where you can not only change your form, but even to imitate specific creatures. So, like, if you saw a specific shopkeeper, you could change your form into that specific shopkeeper form. Instead of just having a base mimicry, you would actually be able to change your form a lot better, to mimic him a lot better. And it's when you use the shapeshifting boon, you may take on the features of a specific creature. For example, instead of merely transforming into an elf, you can assume the guise of Galadion, the Elven King. The disguise is near perfect for those examining you visually. If your behavior or other signs provide reasonable suspicion, an onlooker can attempt a perception roll with a challenge rating equal to 10 plus triple your alteration or deception score, whichever is higher. If they succeed, they will recognize your disguise. But what that means is they have to get a perception roll of 10 plus 3 times your deception, your alteration, which is 5. So 3 times 5 is...
It's 3 5s.
Right.
15.
15. So 15 plus 10 means they have to roll a 25 on their perception to be able to pick you out as the fake. Even if you're acting weird. So that's pretty handy if you want to change into somebody specific. So that's the first thing. And it would probably be good to go ahead and focus in on your boon, because that seems to be the main thing that you're focusing on is shapeshifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and being able to do what they do. Being able to do what they can do. Or the things I turn into can do.
Right. So, for those watching, I'm pretty sure that some of the GMs are going to be like, oh man, this is going to be a lot of changing and a lot of stat looking up. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have some creatures from a bestiary, probably, that he's going to say, I'm going to change into this one a lot or this one a lot, and we'll have those that he can kind of shift to at his desire, kind of thing.
What about a flying cheetah? I've seen a...
Combining different combining different creatures.
Daddy, I've seen it on a show.
Okay, but has Caesar seen it?
What?
Because you're playing Caesar. You're not playing Addy.
He can imagine it then.
You can imagine a lot of things, but seeing it actually work is a lot different than just imagining things.
Okay, first it runs in.
No. Alright. So mimic. But what we probably need to do is make sure that you're extra good at it. So that means that we're going to take Boon Focus. So Boon Focus, there's 3 different tiers, and it costs 3 points each time. But we're just going to take the first tier first. And what this does, you choose a boon, like Shapeshift. And tier 1 says, when you invoke the chosen boon on a single target, you succeed automatically and do not need to make an action roll. Now that doesn't really affect you, because you're not going to resist your own shapeshifting. But you can invoke the boon to any of the power levels you could access via your other means. If the invocation is not a single target, success is not automatic, but you get advantage 2 on the action roll to invoke the boon. And what we'll do is, because you have the boon, I'll take that into account when you think about it and when you're trying to change. So that's that. It's what you're working towards is this second one that makes you faster.
Faster at transforming.
Yes. So, like Tier 2 says, when you get your next chance to buy a feat, you can take it Boon Focus again, and you would gain advantage 3 on your action roll to invoke the boon if you are not single target. Additionally, you may invoke the boon 1-time increment faster, as follows. If the invocation time is a major action or a move action, it becomes a minor action, which means when you get your next level and you're able to buy your next feat, you could take Boon Focus 2 Shapeshifter, and that means instead of having to spend your whole round changing into a different shape in a battle, you could start the battle as one creature, and then the next round immediately shift into another creature and do it something different.
Okay,
It could really make some interesting stuff happen.
Daddy, can I do the thing in Pokemon where you can do an attack while someone else is doing an attack, like defend or move?
Page 57. Okay, so that's that. That cost 3. So next time you have a chance to buy some boons, you can go into Boon Focus Shapeshift again. Now, if you want to, you can always get rid of Mimic and go into Boon Focus Shapeshift, go into the second tier right now. It's up to you. You don't have to have Mimic.
What is Mimic? Wait, what is
Mimic is the one that lets you mimic somebody's facial features so good that it's really hard to tell. Now, do you want to keep that one?
I don't want to get rid of it. I do not want to get rid of it.
So you'll just have to wait until you get enough feat points to be able to buy Boon Focus 2.
Okay, how many feat points?
That comes around when you level up. So the next time you level up, you're going to be able to probably look at Boon Focus 2. and that will let you change real fast, and that will be pretty cool. That means you could be a dragon in one round, and then immediately shift the next round into
speck of atom.
Not into a speck of atom.
Why?
Because you can't change unless it's 1/4 your size. So if you're 4 feet tall, you could change into something that's 1 foot tall. Or if you're 4 feet tall, you could change into something that's 16 feet tall. But that's kind of your range right now at level 1.
I'm 6 feet tall.
If I was using 4 feet as an example.
I mean, what would you be able to do if you were 6 feet tall?
If you're 6 feet tall, you can only change into something that's 1/4 of your size. So that means if you're 6 feet tall, If you're 6 feet tall, it's going to be 6 divided by 4. And that means that it's going to be 1. You could do something that's a little over a foot tall. You have to, there are going to be remainders and you're not in
24.
decimals yet. No. You're 6 feet tall. And you're dividing it by 4. You're in division, but you're only into remainders, not decimals. Which is what you would have to go to. So, anyway, it's like 6.2 feet tall. Ish. So, 6.0, whatever. It is not tall enough for you, not short enough for what you're talking about. Anyway, Boon Focus 1 and Mimic. So if you don't want to get rid of Mimic, you can stay at Boon Focus 1 and have Mimic, and you will have all but one of your points spent. So you get to carry over points. That point doesn't disappear. You get to keep it and then spend it later if you want to.
I want to get the Boon Focus too, but I don't want to get rid of Mimic.
Okay. That's fine. You're only at level 1. You don't have to go directly to Boon Focus 2. It's up to you on what you do. So, that's Boon Focus. And all that you need really at the moment. So, the next thing to do after you've gotten your feats is to buy equipment. That's what it says. And we'll go ahead and do that. I actually would prefer to go to Perks and Flaws first, which, since we're down here at the bottom of the page, we will go to Perks and Flaws next. So Perks and Flaws. You get to pick 2 perks and up to 2 flaws. So if you pick 2 perks, they are good things for your character. And they can help you in certain situations. And help you earn perks and flaws, and playing into them help you earn legend points, which are just like special points you can spend to get a bonus. So, what are some things that you want for your character? There's all these here are kind of perks that you can go with. Something that something that might be good for him is Jack of all trades, so that when he's imitating somebody, he can kind of get an idea of their skills. It says, you have a knack for picking up new skills once per game session, provided you are not under pressure from an inordinately tight deadline. You can automatically succeed at a non-attack action roll that relates to some craft, trade, skill, or similar work, provided its challenge rating is less than or equal to 14. So it's okay, but it's not awesome, and none of the perks are going to be super amazing, but they are going to be helpful. So Jack of all trades, and it fits in with your character. Jack of all trades, page 75. And the next thing is, the next one was that you were looking at extraordinary presence.
Oh, looking at this one.
Ear of the Emperor. That means you know somebody important, and they can help you out when you need them. Yeah. Well, part of his backstory is that he's from the woods, right? So he wouldn't know anybody.
Well, he wouldn't be exactly from the woods. He'd be closer to Crosstown. I'll show you. If this map can see. He'd be near Dormer Mountains.
Dormer Mounds. No one goes to Dormer Mounds unless they absolutely have to.
Around Dormer Mounds, but closer to over here.
Okay, closer to Lord Farm. You guys don't see this, but you'll see it in a little bit.
I mean by the road.
But anyway, okay. Probably not Ear of the Emperor. Probably not Legendary Bloodline. He hasn't gotten in trouble before, so not Fugitive. Courageous maybe. Ageless might be good for him because he's a... It basically means he's not going to age. He always is about in his physical prime. He's always... Well, here we go. Based on the source of your agelessness, you can decide whether or not your appearance changes over time. You are immune to the passage of time and the effects of old age. Your body does not age, and you cannot be harmed by extraordinary effects that cause aging. So, that's kind of thing. And that makes sense for shapeshifters and stuff, so... Okay, ageless. And I will say that I said that none of them are awesome, but there are a few of them that are more useful than others. Now we're going to pick at least one flaw. I actually encourage people to pick two, but we're going to pick at least one flaw. So these are bad things about your characters. Things that aren't good for him. They don't help him. But you can play into them and get legend points for it. So, there's absent-minded, which you live with your head in the clouds. You might be ditzy, or maybe you just spend your time contemplating loftier matters. Whatever the source of your absent-mindedness, you are slow to notice important details and have a tendency to get distracted at exactly the worst possible moment.
No.
Okay, all of these are going to be bad for you, so just so you know.
Yeah, but not that.
Okay.
Whatsoever.
Addiction is basically that you're addicted to something and it causes you problems. Ambitious. Let me see. When presented with a situation requiring empathy for those beneath you, it is typical for you to ignore their need. In addition, you may sometimes overreach in your attempts to get ahead, making bold and risky choices that can put you and those close to you in danger. Bloodlust is you're prone to starting fights and stuff like that. Brash means that you kind of go in without thinking sometimes. You kind of do that. Bravado, you've got a flair for the dramatic, and sometimes it can get you into trouble, you know. Cosmetic deformity, that means you look funny. None of these are going to be good for you. I'm just saying. Compulsion means that there's something that you have to do all the time, whether that's and sometimes it can put you in problematic situations. There's cowardly. There's dim-witted, means he's not very smart. Disabled, he's got a physical deficiency, whether that's it's something that causes him a bit of problem. Maybe he's got a gimp leg, or it wouldn't make a lot of sense for a changeling to have be disabled, because they can just change. Greedy means that he wants to get lots of stuff, so that's greedy. Honest, you won't tell a lie or engage in deceitful speech, even to save your own life or the life of another. You think that one? He's literally a shape changer that can change into other people's faces and stuff. That will require him to lie about who he is if he's going to impersonate them. So, you can't take honest and... I mean, you could, and just change into creatures and stuff like that, but you may as well not have the mimic ability. So not honest. Hot-tempered means that you get angry really quickly. Illiterate means you can't read. Literal-minded means that you don't always get the joke. Like if somebody says it's raining cats and dogs, you look out to see if that it's actually raining dogs and cats. So there's that. Got a mood disorder, which makes him have mood swings really a lot. Naive means that you can be gullible. Sometimes you believe the best in things before you find them out. Overt means that you're not very subtle. You blurt out your plans, or you just go straight into something without having an idea of what's necessarily there. Overweight, is he fat?
No.
Pacifist means he won't hurt people. He doesn't want to hurt people. He avoids hurting people and doesn't want to hurt people. And even if his life is in danger, he really doesn't want to. He may, but he really doesn't want to. You think about that one. A phobia, does he have a specific fear of something that really scares him, that if it comes his way, he's like, I want to go the other way. It's not right. Oh, I'm out of here. It can sometimes get him in trouble.
Bears.
A phobia of bears?
No. I'm just trying to be silly.
Okay. Proud. He's really proud of himself, and it can get him into trouble sometimes. Psychotic. He's crazy.
Oh.
Short-witted means he's... short-winded means he can't... he doesn't run very well. He doesn't have good endurance.
Mm-mm.
Sick means he's kind of sickly, not very physically fit. Socially awkward means he's not very good with social decisions. If someone's... he gets uncomfortable in big crowds and stuff like that. And... okay. Stubborn. Uncoordinated means he's kind of lanky and he doesn't always get a good idea. That's probably not very good for him to take, because any physical tasks that require dexterity or nimbleness can be a problem, and he's got a lot of dexterity, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to be uncoordinated. Vengeful, like if someone does him wrong, he feels like he has to do that person wrong. He has to pay them back somehow. And then the last one is zealous. Means that he'll do something for a specific cause, regardless of how many people it might hurt.
I feel like the best ones to take are this one.
Literal-minded.
Or,
There's the pacifist one.
Yeah.
So which one do you think you would want to do? Literal-minded or pacifist?
What's pacifist saying?
Pacifist one is, it's one where you absolutely, if you can get out of it, you don't want to fight somebody. If you can find any way out of it, you don't fight people. Now, it doesn't mean you won't ever fight somebody, but you have to be backed into the corner. Literal-minded means that...
Literal-minded.
Okay. Alright, so we got you taken care of there. So we will see how well you do with acting out the literal-minded. That's page 78. Alright. So that's all the perks, that's all the flaws.
Wealth.
Next is wealth, the wealth chapter, which has the equipment. So here's where we're going to get you one weapon, one armor, and then you get another item of whatever you would prefer to have. And when you first start out, I believe your wealth level is 2. I will make sure here in my stuff.
So 2 gold is what he starts out with?
He doesn't start with gold. Remember we talked about this. He doesn't have gold.
Oh.
He just has a wealth level, which decides whether he has access to certain things. So let's make choosing your starting equipment. And you got a wealth level, 3 items with a wealth level of 2, and any number of items of lesser value than 2. So a wealth level of 2, so that you understand, means that you can get, you're a skilled laborer, a town guard, or a first level hero, has a wealth level of 2. That means you can get martial weapons, and sometimes a good horse, and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. So that's a bazooka, and you don't have a bazooka in this setting.
I want a bazooka!
Well, not in this setting. You can't even shoot a bazooka. You don't have the ability, the attribute scores for it.
Hey, can't I just set it on a standing goal?
You're not getting a bazooka in this setting.
But bazookas are awesome.
So, you said daggers, right? Is what he was going to use?
Just daggers.
Huh?
Not just daggers. You can use most weapons, but not big.
Well,
big
everybody
like
can pick
hammers.
up a weapon. Everybody can pick up a weapon. It's whether they're good with it or not is going to be determined by their attributes.
I mean, like, he's not. I'll tell you what he's not very good with. He's not very good with great swords, great axes, great hammers, stuff like that. He's not good with that type of stuff. It's more for the light stuff, like sickles, scythes are lighter than great swords, stuff like that.
So,
he can
you
use
have a
short
dagger.
Swords and swords.
You want 1 dagger?
I want a bow and a short sword.
Do you want any armor?
Yes.
A dagger times 1. So that's going to... We'll put that up here under your actions later. Because your shapeshift action will go right there. But dagger, attack. And then you said a bow.
Mm-hmm.
Bow, attack. And so you got your dagger and you got a bow. Now, do you want a
what?
You only get 3 items of wealth, of wealth level 2. So that means you would probably, let me see what wealth level the bow is. Mace, baseball bat, club, long sword, bow gun, dart. Where is that? Baseball club. Short spear, long spear for the glaive. There's a crossbow. That's a wealth level 2 item.
I am level 2, aren't I?
You are, so you can have a crossbow instead of a regular bow.
Yeah, crossbow with a lens thing. Not lens.
Well,
but a thing that has
do you want a light crossbow?
Yes.
Because that would be better. It has the precise thing, so you can use your dexterity with it at a medium range.
Yes.
So we'll do light. We'll put a L. Crossbow times 1.
Okay, so the third one is anything I want? Maybe?
The third one needs to be your armor.
Oh, okay.
So, let me see.
And if I'm only having 2 things that's not armor, I'd rather take the dagger away and use something else.
Like what?
Throwing dagger.
Well, it can be thrown. It can be thrown. It's the same attack as well, because it's a precise weapon. Daggers are forceful, precise, and swift. So that means that when you're using a dagger, forceful means that the weapon can make attacks with might and invoke might banes. It can also, precise means it can be used agility and get the agility banes. And then, what was the other one? Forceful. Forceful means that it can... No, I just read that. Forceful, precise, swift. Swift means that if you're wielding this weapon at the beginning of combat, you gain advantage 2 on your initiative roll. So, there we go. Anyway, it's good to have. So you've got a dagger, you've got a crossbow. Nice start for an agility-based character. And then we need to get you some armor so that we can calculate your armor.
I want a robe-like armor. Like,
kind of a...
It has those small, light steel shoulder blade things. Those shoulder things.
Pads?
Yes.
So, what that sounds like the most is a kind of an armored trench coat thing, but that's at a wealth level 3. What you could do is kind of like a robe type setup. What you could do is like a robe type setup that has that available, and it is, we can just say that it's that. So some light armor is what you're looking for then.
Yes.
So light L. No, that's not in the actions. So light armor coat, basically. A robe. Okay. And that's going to give you, we're going to put, nah, we don't need the page. But a light armored robe, and that will give you an armor rating of... You actually don't have to use your wealth level for this one. So you can have another second wealth level thing. So this will give you a bonus defense of 1. So now we can calculate this. 3 plus 1 plus 1 for your guard, plus 10.
Does that mean I can
15.
Does that mean I can have the things with the
You can make it look however you want.
And, the black coat.
The black coat with a black robe type thing with shoulder pads.
I mean that type of thing that's thin. This thin.
Right. I get it. I get what you're saying. It can be a robe or a coat or whatever. It can look however you want. Mechanically, it is this. It can look however you want. So that's that. And let me make sure you can have, that's right, one more wealth level 2 item. So did you want another weapon? Or did you want something else? You got a crossbow. You got a dagger.
Didn't I get armor?
Yeah, you got the armor, but it was only a wealth level 1 thing. So you can get another thing that's wealth level 2. So that's where you could get your short sword or something like that. Because you talked about that. So, what are you thinking?
Laser pistol?
No, there's no guns. There's no guns.
Hey, there's a crossbow, and a crossbow is basically a gun.
It shoots arrows, not bullets.
Yeah, well, this can be an arrow pistol revolver.
Mm-mm.
Why?
So, did you want to do any of those? Like a shield? You get a shield.
How big would the shield be?
It's a small one. It's kind of like this big. Kind of like a Captain America type shield.
Oh.
It's a small one. Smaller.
Okay. Well...
It's up to you. You want a shield? Do you want another weapon? What? What do you want?
I'm looking.
Do you want another weapon?
Hey, are there shotguns in this game with
No.
little shells? Mine.
Because there's no guns. There's no guns in this setting right now.
Okay.
What do you want? Do you want a weapon? Or do you want something else?
Armor. Weapon?
Do you want a weapon?
Small katana?
Small kind of forest blade, like similar to what Moon had. That's fine. That would fall under the short sword, scimitar, machete, and saw blade.
Okay, which one? There's
Well,
machetes
you don't
back
have to
there?
pick it, but that's what it's like.
What's a scimitar?
It's a curved blade.
I mean, look like those things that go with this and they have that too here.
It's the same. In this system, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it does.
What's a saw blade?
It's a toothed blade, like that side of the machete that has the teeth on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a saw blade, basically. So it's one-handed melee to forceful, precise.
I want a
and
saw blade.
A saw blade. Saw blade. Attack. Alright. So that's that. It's done. And it is one that actually has the precise, forceful or precise, so you can use might or dexterity with it. So, that's that. You do not, I don't think. Yo, 1 in might. So it's a lot better to use your agility. So that's pretty much everything that you have to do to get started. So yeah, that is everything. Thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate you putting up with our kind of pauses in there and stuff like that. We'll edit as much as we can of that out. It's a lot easier to edit out audio of that than it is to edit out a video of that, because then it looks like you jump cut, because you did. But you won't know once we get it all edited. So all that said,
because you won't know I'm talking.
You won't. All that said, we hope you had a great time. God bless and enjoy. Bye. This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.